Amy had always imagined her life as a beautiful painting, vibrant, full of love and happiness. She was married to Daniel at 22. She was certain she had found her forever. They met in college, storybook romance that blossomed over shared coffee, breaks, and late night study. Their wedding had been a small, intimate affair filled with laughter, promise, a sense of unshakable sensitivity. For a while, everything was perfect. Amy and Daniel welcomed their first child, Emily, into the world 3 years after their wedding. 2 years later, Noah followed. Their home was filled with sound of children laughter, bedtime story, and the steady hope of a life built together. Daniel, a devoted husband, father, and working hard to provide for his family while always making time for them. But somewhere along the line, the color of Amy painting begins to fade. The passion she once felt for Daniel slowly dulled. The excitement of their early marriage was replaced by the routine of everyday life. Amy found herself going through emotions, taking care of the children, managing the household, and smile through dinner conversation, yet feeling incredibly disconnected. She could not remember the last time she felt genuinely happy or excited. Daniel noticed the change in her, but check it up to the pressure of parenthood. We are just in a rough patch, he would tell himself, convinced that things will get better. He tried to be more attentive, suggesting date night, weekends away, anything to rekindle their spark they once had, but Annie was already slipping away. At 28, Amy found herself in a place she never expected to be. She met Mark at a conference for work, a charismatic man with a quick smile and a way of making her feel important. Their conversation began innocently enough, but it wasn't for long before they start exchanging texts into the night, sharing secrets and thoughts she haven't even shared with Danny in years. One evening, as she sat alone in her car after work, staring at message from Dan Mark asking to meet for drink, she made a decision. She knew it was wrong. She knew crossing the line would change everything, but in that moment she did not care. She was tired of feeling empty, of being the perfect wife and a mother, while slowly losing herself. They met at a small bar on the edge of town where no one would recognize them. The drink flowed, and so their conversation, easy, effortlessly, and intoxicating. That night, in the dim light of the bar, Amy felt alive for the first time in years. One drink led to another, and soon they were in the hotel room. The weight of her marriage forgotten in the heat of the moment. Few weeks, Amy continued her affair with Mark, living a double life at home. She was the same devoted mother, careful not to raise any suspicions, but Daniel wasn't blind. He noticed the change in her, as she would come home late from work, the way she would smile at her phone, the sudden distance between them. One night, unable to take it anymore, Daniel confronted her. He waited until the kids were asleep, and he stood in the doorway of their bedroom. His face was filled with hurt and anger. "Amy, we need to talk," he began, his voice trembling. Amy looked up from her phone, startled by his voice. "What is it, Daniel?" she asked, trying to be calm. "I know," he said simply, his eyes boiling into hers. "I know about Mark." For a moment the room was silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Amy's heart pounded in her chest. Her mind raced for an explanation, an excuse, anything that would make her deflect from the truth, but there was no point lying anymore. "I am sorry, Daniel," she said to Daniel. "I am sorry. I am so sorry. I could not hide it from you," she would tell Daniel. By this time, Daniel was already feeling very angry, but he was just trying to calm his emotion. With tears in her eyes, she could not look at him. "I don't know, Daniel. I just don't know. I just felt so lost, so empty. And Mark, it makes me feel alive," Amy said. Daniel shook his head. "How could you do this to us, Amy? After everything we've been through, everything we built together, how could you just throw it away?" There was total silence in the room. "What about us?" Daniel said again. "What about our family?" Daniel's voice filled with emotion. "What about Emily and Noah? Did you even think about them?" "Of course I did, Amy said. "But I could not keep the lies, Daniel. I could not keep pretending that everything was okay where it was not." "So now what?" Daniel asked, his voice feeling the anger in his voice. "Are you going to leave us for him?" he asked. Amy shook her head with tears rolling down from her eyes. "I don't know, Daniel. I don't just know anymore. I don't know what to do." Daniel stared at her for a moment, then he nodded slowly. "Maybe we should get a divorce," he said, the words feeling so heavy in his tongue. Amy said, "If this will make you happy, I think this is the best thing to do, Daniel." Daniel looked at her with heartbreaking for the woman she once felt so much deeply in love, but right now his anger and emotion has taken over everything. "Okay, if this will make you happy, I think this is the best thing to do," said Daniel. In the days that followed, Daniel was a shadow of himself. The thought of losing his children hurt him so much. He knew, in the eyes of the court, Amy was most likely to be granted custody over the children. She was their mother, and despite everything, she was good. But the idea of not seeing them hurt him so badly. One evening, as he sat in the living room watching the kids play, a plan began to form in his mind. It was risky, perhaps even reckless, but it was the only way to keep his family together. He reached out to Sarah, Amy's best friend. Sarah had always been close to the family, and Daniel knew she had seen the strain in their marriage long time ago. When he told her about his plan, she was shocked. "Daniel, are you sure about this plan?" Sarah asked, her voice filling with concern. "Taking the kids is a big step. Amy would feel so devastated." "I know, Sarah," Daniel replied, running his hand through his head. "But I could not imagine myself losing the children. They are all I got left." Sarah was silent for some moments, considering his word. All right, Daniel," she finally said. "If this is what you really want, I will help you. But you need to be careful, because this could fire back badly." I know, he said, "but I just have to try." The next day, Daniel put his plan into action. He picked up Emily and Noah from school as usual, but instead of taking them home, he drove to a small town several hours away from their home. They had no luggage, just a few change of clothes he had packed secretly the night before. As they drove, Daniel explained to the kids that they were going on a special trip, an adventure just for the three of them. Where are we going, Daddy? Emily asked, her big eye filled with curiosity. Somewhere new, Daniel said. Somewhere new, just for the three of us, darling, just for a while. Noah, still too young to understand, giggled from his car seat. Adventure, adventure, he shouted, clapping his hands. Daniel's heart ached as he listened to them, knowing how much they would miss their mother, but he could not think about that for now. He had to stay focused, had to keep going forward. They arrived at a small town that Daniel rented a house under a first name. It was far from their comfort home, but it was safe, and that is all that matters for now. Daniel would say everything will be all right. Daniel tried his best to take the kids to a nearby park, cooking their favorite meal and keeping up with the exciting adventure. Back home, Amy was frantic when he went to pick up the children from school, only to find them gone. Her heart nearly stopped. She called Daniel repeatedly, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Panic set in as she realized what had happened. Daniel has taken the kids and he wasn't coming back. Oh my God, what will I do? She reached out to Sarah, hoping for some clue, some reassurance that everything will be okay. But when she arrived at Sarah's house, the truth hit her. Sarah, please, Amy begged, her voice shaking. Where are they? Where is Daniel? Sarah looked at her with mixture of pity and regret. Amy, he just wanted to protect the kid. He's scared of losing them. And you helped him. Amy's voice raised in disbelief. You are my best friend, Sarah. How could you do this to me? I don't know. I just don't want to take sides, Sarah said slowly, her eyes filled with sorrow. But Amy, you left him no choice. You destroyed your marriage and now you are losing your children. I don't want to see those children suffer through battle for custody. Amy felt the world crumbling down to her feet. Everything she has worked for, her marriage, her children, her friendship was gone. The life she knew was shattered. She was left with nothing but the cold hands of the hard truth of her choice. Days turned into weeks. Amy was left in the state of limbo. She filed a report with the police, but without any idea of where Daniel had gone. There was nothing they could do. Her night was filled with sleeplessness because she has been thinking, and the thought of her children's face kept consuming her. Daniel, on the other hand, did everything he could to build a new life for his children. It wasn't easy, and there was time where the weight of his decision threatened to crush him. But every time he looked at Emily and Noah, he knew he had made the right choice. They were safe, they were with him, and that is all that mattered. In the quiet moments, when the kids were asleep, Daniel would sit alone, thinking about Amy. He still loved her in some twist painful way, but the betrayal was too deep. The wound was too raw. There were no going back. All he could do was moving forward, one day at a time. As for Amy, she was left to pick up the pieces of her life she had shattered with her own hands. The vibrant painting she once drew was now a canvas of loneliness and regret. She had lost everything: her husband, her children, her best friend, and there was no one to blame but herself. In the end, Amy was left with nothing but the cold, empty hands of realizing that sometimes in the pursuit of happiness, you lose the things that matters most. The moral of this story is we should not let our emotions run us so we cannot lose things that are more value to us. In marriage, when we feel like it's possible to fix things, talk with your partner and fix it while you still got the time.